Hi everyone, Melissa Ullman here, the Creative Chatterbox. And I am here to share a layout that I created for Creative Memories for this wonderful promo they have going on called the Heartfelt Noteworthy Collection. So you've got a couple options with a purchase. You can either order some storage bags or you can order this beautiful, I shouldn't say order, you get it free if you spend a certain dollar amount. Make sure to check that for the country in which you are in, and today's date is July 9th, 2025, so just make sure that it is appropriate for the timing in which you are seeing this video. Anyways, you can create this layout with any collection, but I just thought what a fun way for you to capture all the beautiful colors and patterns. And it's got such a versatile feel to it. I use that every picture tells a story, but there's so many more that I can share with you. But let's go ahead and get started. First of all, you're going to need a cardstock base. So I am using the dark sea green, which I think, matches this absolutely beautiful. So we'll use that as our base. And then you are going to need one of the insert sheets. And when I say insert sheet, this is what I mean, the piece of paper that comes inside of your paper pack. And so we're gonna use that for the base of the top part of this layout. So just give you an idea how gorgeous all of these patterns are. And then there's also a designer matte pack, paper pack, so you can cut them down to be mats and titles and for journaling, etc. So just a really nice collection. So I'm gonna need a piece of insert paper that is 12 inches by 6 inches. So I've already cut that here. It doesn't matter, you can use front or back with that. And then what you're going to do is you are going to take your scrap pieces of paper and you are going to cut 12 pieces that measure 1 inch by 6 inches. Okay, so 12 pieces that measure 1 by 6. Our hearts are upside down there. We'll turn them around. And then what you are going to do, I'm just going to set this base off the side for a second. And then what you're going to do is you'll lay these out in front of you, kind of varying your colors, your patterns, etc. So we'll just kind of a splatter there. Like I said, just kind of vary them, but setting them, let me put that one in between there. So some of your darker colors are going to be, some of your darker colors are going to go on the in-between. So then what we're going to do with each one of these pieces is we're going to take our ruler, and on the right side, or I'm sorry, left side of this one, we're going to put a pencil mark at 3 inches. So that's on the left side. Then on the next one, we're going to put a pencil mark at 3 inches on the right side, okay? And it just needs to be a very light pencil mark. So left side, right side. And I'm just gonna continue to go. This one's on the left side. Let's see. This one's gonna be on the right side. So make sure you place it, and then this one's gonna be on the left side. They're all gonna be at 3 inches, which is your halfway mark on these because they're 6-inch strips. Okay, so right side, then this one is gonna be on the left side, and then this one will be on the right side. This one will be on the left side. So we're just going to make sure you go, making sure that stays there. At the 3-inch, varying from left side to right side. All right. So then once you have that, those are the strips, the base strip pieces on here. So you'll see like this one is the hearts, the blue hearts. This one is the light blue kind of chevron. That strip is the spattered. So you'll notice that it kind of varies with that. But then you're gonna just set those aside for a minute. And then we're going to punch some scrap paper, some of our scrap paper, using our square punch. You're gonna need a total of 12 squares or 24 triangles. So I have gone ahead and cut up or punched up some squares, but you're gonna need a total of 12 because when we cut it, it's gonna cut it to 24. So then we'll take our trimmer here, and I am just going to place these together, making sure that the points are on, okay, your points there, whoops, can you see it? Are right along the top point, and the bottom point are right along the edge of the trimmer, and cut. So then we have triangles. Like I said, you will need a total of 24 triangles. So I have some ready for us so you didn't have to watch me cut all these squares at an angle. But you'll see here, we've just got a nice variety in which you want. You want to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Then we're going to take this first piece here, this first strip, and I've got my pencil mark on the left edge. I'm going to take something that kind of stands out from that color, contrasts, and I put the bottom, hold this up for you here, so I put the bottom of that triangle point right at the pencil mark. So I'm going to just continue to do that, and we'll just move this over here. And then making sure those line up. If you need to go back and erase any of those small little pencil marks, you can do that. But now we have this first one done. This is where now we are going to need this insert sheet. And I'm going to turn it over and use the back side here. And then I will just put some adhesive. I'm okay on this one to leave my points on there of the triangle, but I'll just line this up on here along the edge. Okay, then I'm going to take the next strip here, and I'm going to then find, you know, something that contrasts with it, like so. And the only one piece of paper that is the hearts that is directional with these papers. But if it's going to be so random, it's not really going to matter. So then I have that piece. I'm gonna just turn this one over now using my scissors, and I'm gonna just snip off that point so it's flush with the, I've got those little points up here, get them out of the way. Okay, so now I'll put some adhesive on this, and I'm going to line up what would have been my points on here over the top of those points, the previous points there. Okay, so and then the edges of the paper line up. So you see how that works there? I can go ahead and adhere this one. And again, we'll just line those up. I've got my pencil line there. So I'm going to take, and again, something that contrasts with that pattern, and it's white, so you can pretty much use anything with that. So we'll use, okay, so here we don't need to do anything about our points on this one. But now our next one, we do have our pencil line right here. Sorry about that. But I want to put my, let's see, I want to put my triangles on there first before I adhere it. And then we'll go with this. Oh, that's a little bit dark. So let's go maybe with this lighter color one here. Just put that right up to the edge. Whoops, I didn't realize I was out of screen there. Put that right up to the edge. And then this one, we are again, turn it over. I'm going to snip those points off. And then with this one, we'll just line up where those points would have been over the tops of those previous points. Okay, so they line up like that. So we're just going to continue to do that for the remainder of this piece. And like I said, you really could do this with any collection. The only thing is you do kind of need to watch that, you know, directions. If that is going to bother you, some of your pieces might go at different directions. So we could do that one there. Oh, how about this one? We'll go this one here. There's nice contrast. There we go. And then we're gonna go with this one. So we've got our, I'm gonna move this up so you can see a little bit better. All right, now we've got this one here that I'm gonna just rotate this so I can get this flat along that line there. And let's see, what else could we use here? How about this one? There we go. And now this one we are going to snip. So every other one you're gonna snip so that way it sits over the top of the previous one nicely. If you're confused about which one you should snip the points of and which one you shouldn't, you can snip all of them. This is just saving you some time, or a step, I should say. You could cut off the edges of all of them and then just put those narrowed pointed edges together. All right, so now we'll go with this one. And what can we do here? How about this one? So it's nice to vary. So if I look at my previous strips, I had this one on a bottom. So if I put this one up here, I'm kind of varying where those colors are going to go. And then I am looking for, let me see if this is one here. Yep, that's exactly what I was looking for. Blue with the hearts. And because my piece of paper is white and my desktop is white, I'm having a hard time seeing where the edge of that paper is. All right. Just line that up. And then this is going to be our next one here. So this is a great one we can use some of the lighter patterns on. So So it will really show up against that pink. Let's see, I'll go with this one here. So you're going to put your points together where your pencil mark is, and our pencil mark was on the right side on this one. So this is one now we need to turn over and snip our points off, and then we will place that again so it kind of locks into place, lining it up with that previous strip there. Okay, so we have that one. Now the next one we can put flat there. Okay. And I apparently did not cut, let's see, what do we got? Enough strips, so we're gonna have to cut us a few more strips. Place that one right along the line there. And then let's maybe go with this brown. Okay, so now these points are not cut, so the next strip, which is this one, we will have to cut. But let's go ahead and place these along the edge. Do this one. I haven't used a pink one in a while. So I am using the repositionable adhesive. So in the event I need to move anything around, I am able to do that. But now I'm going to turn this one over, snip the points, and then this one is going to line up over the top of that one. So we need 2 more strips of paper. So let's go ahead and cut a couple more strips. How about maybe another one of this? Oh, we've got the blue on the back. We could definitely do that as we started with the blue. So that'll be some spacing in between it, like that. And then we have this last lighter blue one here, and that's separate enough from this one. So now I can go ahead and adhere this one right next to that. And then again, we will so now our points are outward, and let's see, that one's got kind of a rough edge on it. Let's try this one. And then this one. All right, and then this one we are not going to adhere right away, but we need to mark it at 3 on the right edge. And then let's see what we can do here. I'll place this one on the top. And then I haven't had a lighter color one here in a while, so we'll go with this one on the bottom. There we go. And this one we are going to snip those off. So again, turning over, snipping the overhang of those points off from the edge. All right, so now I'll go ahead and turn this over and adhere here. Now you may have a little bit of white left over here at the end, and that's okay because we are actually going to be trimming this down. We are going to trim this piece of paper, which is currently 12 inches. We are going to be trimming that down so it's 11 3/4, which means you can cut off 1/8 of an inch from each end. So then that way it's balanced. Okay, so there's 1/8 of an inch. I still have some white though, so I'm gonna go a little bit further and cut another edge off. And then let's just measure this to see if we are at 11 3/4. And we're very close. I'm gonna just turn it around to the other side and just take just a hair off of this edge here so that it will bring this whole piece down to 11 3/4, which we're right about there. Okay, so then we'll take this piece, and if you choose to put a border on the edges, this would be, actually no, back up the truck. So we have it to measure 11 3/4. Then we want it to measure 5 3/4 tall. Currently it's 6. So I'm going to turn this over, placing my edge of my paper along the dotted line. The second dotted line, not the first one, that's the cutting line, but the second dotted line. And then that is going to cut an 1/8 inch strip of paper from that top edge. Okay, so we've got 1/8 of a piece coming off the top. Then I'm going to turn it around, and we're going to make sure this is at 5 3/4 here, and then we'll trim away from that edge. Okay, so this has, we're at 11 3/4 by 5 3/4. And like I said, if you want a border along those edges there, you can. Otherwise, we're just gonna go ahead and place it on our base piece of cardstock at the top. Okay, and this is giving it 1/8 of an inch around the outside edge there. Okay, I'm gonna turn that over. We can always come back to if we want to put an edge on this on the top or the bottom. Let's just kind of play with it as we go here, but you could put like an edge style border maker cartridge on the top and bottom edge. You could put just a skinny fourth of an inch strip at the top and bottom, or like I did with this one, I used one of the sticker borders and placed at the top and bottom edge, and then just trimmed it off here at the edges at 1/8 of an inch on each side. Okay, so I have this one. Now I need a piece of paper for the bottom. So you'll see here I've used this brown, but you could honestly use any piece that you wanted for that. So here we have kind of a spattered piece, which would mean the photo mats, etc. would show up on there. And I do have a full piece of that one that I could, whoops, backside. It's kind of like a spattering. So let's go ahead and cut. And I'm actually gonna cut this one to be 11 3/4 by 6. Okay, so I'm gonna go at 6 inches here, because that's my width. And then I'm gonna rotate and go at 11 3/4. So that's to the edge of the gray here. I'll cut that. And then this piece here is going to go right along the bottom edge of that top piece. Okay, it looks like I might have got a little bit, there we go. Angle it a little bit, but leaving that 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So you can go ahead and adhere this. And I'm gonna use repositionable. Honestly, I use repositionable for just about everything. Once in a while though, there might be something I need to use the regular adhesive on. So there we have it. And based off of how this side is, we could rotate this if we wanted to. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. So on the original one, I have it so you have a horizontal photo at the top. So on this one, we're gonna have a vertical photo and then horizontal photos here on the side. So I am going to go ahead and use this piece of paper, and I'm gonna cut a mat that measures 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So we are going to be able to put a photo on it that is 4 by 6 vertical. So 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And that will go vertical there. And then on the sides, we are going to do, you know, something that is, we're going to use 3 by 4s, and a couple of them are going to get overlapped. So I might go like this. And then you can use, like I used one of the mats that I was showing you that has, so like these cut apart. So then I just cut it apart. The back side is blue. So depending on, you know, which colors you want, we could also, you know, use something like this. But I'm going to just leave the tag. So the tag can be my journaling. And then I'm going to place 3 photos or 3 photo mats. So I am just going to use some coordinating papers here. And these mats are all going to be 3 by 4. So then your photos will be 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. So we'll leave this one. And maybe we don't want that one. Maybe we want to vary more of the colors here. So let's see. I also have this one. So we could do that. 3 inches, and turn it and cut at 4. This one. Then I feel like we'd really pull out all the colors if we pulled a pink out of there. So let me see here what I have. Here I've got a pink pattern. 3 inches by 4 inches. Okay, maybe this one should kind of go here in the center and this one up here. So let me just tell you really quickly, we have to overlap them because at 3 inches, it would total 12. Okay, so we're going to overlap the 2 and 2. So I'm going to start down here, kind of leaving 1/8 of an inch or so around the outside of that tag. I'm going to take this one and then just tuck it behind that one. And kind of leave maybe 1/4 of an inch or so along the right edge. Okay, then I'm going to come up here. I'm going to go with this one kind of in the corner where I was opposite down here. So we'll place that there. And then this one will kind of go over the top with about 1/8 of an inch in between here. So you see they're kind of at various places. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put this one on. I'm gonna go right there, about 1 inch from the top. Okay, so I've got that centered. So now I need to decide where I am going to put my embellishments. So there are some awesome ABC and 1, 2, 3 stickers that go or come with this bonus collection as well. There's a mint green and there's kind of a plum or raspberry color, and those are gorgeous. So if you wanted to use those to put a title anywhere, you could do that on here. There's also a fabulous sticker pack that comes with this, and it's got some really wonderful titles on it. Here are some of the borders you could do, but it's got, and then it's got some great, like some hearts and flowers, etc., that we can add. So I think one of the things I want to do is add this kind of plum color or raspberry color sticker border here. I was just taught this trick from my friend Debbie Martin when I was in Texas a couple weeks ago. But you know how difficult it can be to pull these off, and then the inside doesn't come off. I learned a trick. If you take your all-purpose tool and you place it under your finger like this, and then you put pressure on it, but pulling up the tail, pulling up the sticker as you go, you see how it leaves it all those round pieces. I just love that. There's a couple that got left behind. I can just go back and pull those off. But wow, I was impressed when I learned that. But with this one, I was thinking like we could just take this and go here. Now the photos are going to overlap them. Just make sure I'm straight there. The photos will overlap them in a couple of places here, which is okay. But then I'm just gonna take my scissors and cut that 1/4 of an inch off at the end so it's along the paper line. There we go. So it just kind of holds it all together. But I absolutely loved that trick when Debbie shared it. So now let's look at adding, some clusters. We kind of want one here, and maybe one here. So our visual triangle. Down here, we could like celebrate days like this is kind of a fun at the end of that tag. We could also do this one here kind of as our main. Let's do that kind of as our main title. You guys would never believe, me of all people, this is all I have left of my foam squares until my order comes tomorrow. So we're going to be utilizing just that. All right, so if I put this here, it's gonna make it difficult then to put the photo if I'm not gonna put it on now. So I'm gonna leave the backs on these and then just take off the backs on the bottom foam squares so that when I turn it over like this and adhere it, then I can still lift this to put the photo there. And then you can fight to take off, I say fight, it's not really a fight, but to take off the backs. Or you can just leave it. Once you put it in your album, everything will be okay. So we'll have that there, and then let's see what we can put here. I really like, this pot. That would be a nice, the other thing that we could put down here, are these balloons, and maybe then we can put the pot up here, but I do like the balloons down here. Just come down a little bit there. So we could do that. So the balloons kind of go along with the word celebrate. So we're celebrating. There we go. And then we'll have something here. I did kind of like this there. I do have foam tape left from my stash of foam tape, so let's maybe cut a couple little chunks off of that. The other thing is, being there's hearts here, I could definitely then go with hearts, use some of these hearts here and do a cluster of hearts up here to kind of stay heart, heart, heart. And then maybe we want to, kind of looking here to see what we have. So then maybe we would want to, we'll just see here, kind of play with it. But we would want a grouping of 3 there. And then we can maybe add a couple here so that we have hearts here, here, and here. So let's go with this darker teal one here at the top, and I'll just cut off a piece. Needs to be a little bit smaller. I am missing this, there we go. Missing the foam tape, especially for borders. It was so awesome. Okay, so we kind of have a cluster going a few different directions. We have this one here, so now let's come back. I have a bright pink and a lighter pink, and we could do, I'm gonna cut another little piece of foam tape here. So I'll kind of place it where I am thinking about placing it. And so, you know, or I can go like here, there, and then here, down here. Oh, let me get a piece on here so I can kind of play with it. The one thing I get asked about the most is about clustering, and don't make it difficult. It doesn't have to be there. Maybe like this. There we go. So, and then you do in odd numbers. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So I have 1 here. So if I'm going to add another one, I need to make it 3. So I have 1, 2, 3. I just have 1 here, and I have 3 here. So it just goes again in odd numbers. And it, you know, try not to sticker sneeze. When you're sticker sneezing and putting stickers everywhere, your eye doesn't know where to focus. And so making sure that you keep your clusters separate and not, you know, overflow stickers, it keeps your eye on your photos. So you also want the triangle here, here, here. So top third, middle third, bottom third, left third, center third, right third. And so we fit all of those with our clusters there. So then that is going to draw our eye across our photos that we place there. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. You still have time. Go grab this promo. Here in the United States, if you spend $150, you can opt for this whole collection free. Check your country again, but I really appreciate you guys joining me today. I hope you have enjoyed. If you have enjoyed watching me today and creating with me, hopefully, You can hop on over to my website, which you see there on the screen. I do offer online virtual classes and be happy to have you join me. All right, friends, thank you again. Love and blessings. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and follow. Scrap with you soon.